Timmy. Oh, so chewy, I like it. Hello and welcome back to the channel. So something I haven't done in a while is creating a preset based on an amp on the Line 6 Helix, on the big floor version, part of the My Helix Tones series. There's a playlist on my channel somewhere as well, if you can be bothered to find it. And today I thought we would look at the Fullerton amp. That's what the Line 6 call it, but it is a model of a Fender Tweed from the 1950s, around about 1953 to 1955, I believe. The 5CE, so the Fender 5CE Fender Tweed. The amp did have a normal channel, a bright channel, and you could also jump the channels, kind of like what you've seen people do with Marshall amplifiers to kind of get a bit more of a beefier sound. I've tried to incorporate all of those in this preset, which you can download from the custom tone part of the Helix website. I'll put a link for that in the description below. And if you like what you're going to hear today, if you like the preset that I've created today, which you can download, and if you like it, you can buy me a coffee, a virtual coffee that is, and it'll go a long way to helping out this channel, as well liking this video. If at any point you like anything you hear or see, or if you just have good feelings, yeah, you can like this video, and obviously subscribing helps the channel greatly as well, so feel free to do that. But yeah, the download link and the buy me coffee link will also be in the description below. So ironically, this is quite a simple amplifier. It's as I said, at the time you wouldn't really need to use pedals. Well, you couldn't because there weren't any, but you can do now, and I have included some pedals in this preset, which you can choose to use or change if you like, if you download the preset. But I've tried to be focused more on the amp, so I've managed to get all three channels in there. So I've got the bright, the normal, and the jumped versions. I've managed to cram those into this preset, and some of the ways I've managed to utilize them so that they're a bit more usable. This is where the irony comes in. It's a simple amp, but in order to create the preset, it was quite a complicated process, a bit of a mind-bending exercise, so I won't go into detail on how to do that. But if you want to know how to do that for yourself, then let me know and I can create a video on that. But there are some videos I've created previously which might help explain some of it. My approach in this video is slightly different, and took a bit of inspiration to come up with some of the workarounds for this one. And yeah, well, you'll find that as we get into the video. Well, why don't I just stop yapping and let's get straight into it. So here is my layout for my Fullerton preset. You may notice it looks different to my usual presets, where I normally have, along the bottom, I normally have the snapshots and then effects along the top. So what I've done here is I have mixed snapshots with the effects as normal. I've also incorporated some of the snapshot stacking that we've looked at in previous videos. So the way this works is I've tried to incorporate all the features of the Fullerton amp, which, as I think I've mentioned earlier, that it is based on a Fender Tweed, 1953 to 55, I believe it was, the 5CE, and that had a normal channel, a bright channel, and also you could also jump the channels as well. So this button here will switch between two snapshots I've created, one with like more of a clean channel, on the normal, a clean sound, a clean tone on the normal channel, and also a slightly kind of pushed, slightly overdriven version of the normal channel. So currently it says normal push, which you may remember from my snapshot stacking video, that is what you'll get if you press the button. So it's currently on clean. You can see it's on snapshot 1, and this is going to go to snapshot 2. So now it's on snapshot 2. And you can click on it again to go back to snapshot 1. Let's have a listen to it as well. So for the normal channel, I am using my Fender Telecaster to demonstrate. Later on, when we go to the bright channel, I will use my Epiphone 339 because it kind of could do with slightly brighter tones, but we'll talk about that later. So here's my normal channel clean sound. And if I go to the slightly pushed snapshot, and the reason I've put these up here is because I kind of wanted them out of the way, because I'm kind of aiming for this to be more like a traditional pedal board where you have your effects to play with and you tend to just leave the amp as it is and hopefully you wouldn't be touching it too much. But if you wanted to change from the clean to the pushed, then you can just do that at the press of a button. And I've got the effects down below here. I've got them so that they are not affected by which snapshot they are in. So we talked about that in a previous video as well, how to do that. I'll stick a link somewhere on the screen and in the description, I guess, on that video if you want to learn how to do that. So let's check out some of these effects then, shall we? So we've heard the clean, we've heard the pushed. I'm going to stay on the clean for the moment, and I found the Kinky boost seems to kind of work quite nice. It kind of adds a bit more beef, especially when you've got the Telecaster. So let's check this out. Here's our clean sound, and here's the Kinky boost. So we've got the Teemah here, or the Teemah as they've called it here, the Teemah. The Teemah, another famous drive pedal, works really well with this. I did experiment with a couple of the pedals on here, of the drive pedals, and the Teemah sounds really good. I like it. Let's check it out. Here's our clean sound again. So nothing too gainy at the moment, and I kind of see this Fullerton amp as kind of like a. When I first tried it out when they released it, I thought it sounded very bluesy. I didn't know what it was based on at the time, but it kind of makes sense that it is based on a Fender Tweed from the 1950s, because it does sound like a Fender Tweed from the 1950s. And you can, if you want a bit more oomph, you can put these two together. In fact, let's stack. So again, nothing too heavy, but there is a bit more gain than having them on individually. And while we've got these two on, I've also added this gain block here, and all this does is just boost the volume. So despite me trying to be a bit more, trying to make this more of like a traditional setup, I've decided to have this gain boost here, which I've put in between, or actually after the cab. And the reason I've done that is just sometimes you just want that bit of extra volume to kind of be on top of everything else. So let's check that out. So here, this is without the gain boost. I think it's just 2 dB boost, is it? Yeah. So I've got just a 2 dB boost. Depending where you put that, if you put it before, I did originally put it before the amp as if it was like a pedal, but it didn't sound as good, so I just thought, you know what, I've got the technology here, let's mix the two worlds together. Traditional pedal board, but with kind of modern technology. And I've put it after the speaker, and it just makes everything louder. And I had to actually bring it down to 2 dB, because before, when I had it in front, I think it was about 6 dB. But it sounds better here, it sounds cleaner, and 2 dB is fine. And obviously you can change 2 dB to whatever you want if you want to. Which brings us on to the tremolo. I wanted to have some kind of modulation effect in here, so I chose to go with the tremolo. And I thought, you know what? It's that kind of amp. Let's stick a 63 spring reverb in there as well. This is with the room reverb that I kind of have just there normally. Because without the room reverb, if I just turn that room reverb off for a minute, it sounds just too dry. Which, if you're just listening through, if you're playing this through a speaker, then it might not make too much difference. But I'm currently on in-ears, and it sounds very dry without it, so I kind of have that room reverb on just to kind of make it sound like I'm in a room with an amp. And here is the spring reverb. And you can do all of that again when you're on the pushed version of the normal channel. Here's just the pushed normal without any effects on. Here's a bit of Kinky boost. Yeah, I like that. Very bitey. Really brings out the Telecaster. Here's the Teemah. In fact, here's without first. Together, here's the two. There's the Kinky boost and the Teemah. In fact, let's stack. And here's the solo boost. Alright, so still on the pushed normal channel, here's the tremolo. This might work well with the spring reverb actually. Let's stick that on as well. Just a bit of spring reverb on its own, just for the sake of it. Very prominent there with the more drive coming from the push channel. What's it set? Oh, set to 37. I might even turn that down a bit actually. Yeah, the other one's set to 30, I think. Right, so that is the normal channel with my clean snapshot and my pushed snapshot. But we're not done yet. Before we move on to the bright, let's talk about this here. So hopefully you can see that on the screen. You may notice that the screen, what you're looking at now, might look a bit dark, but that's just so that I can get these letters, the lit up writing, to be clearer and not too washed out, because the brightness is set too high. So that's why the Helix looks quite dark, but hopefully you can see the writing quite clearly. So this is the jump channel, and I've got this set up so that when you're on the normal channel here, where either if it's pushed or if it's clean, if you go to the jump channel, it will go to the normal version of jump. That's not something on the amp, it's just something I'm doing on the Helix here. So if I go to the bright version, and I can go to the bright jump, so you can set it up where this, now that I'm in bright, it will go to the bright version when I go to the jump switch. Let's go back to the normal. So if I go to normal jump, this is going to it's kind of a solo channel, to be honest. It's essentially jumping some of the inputs on the front of the amp, on the top of the amp in this case, and it just basically gives you a bit more gain. So let's check it out. Kind of similar to what you've seen on some of the Marshall amps. So here's my clean. Here's the pushed. And here's the jumped. And as we've done so far, we can add any of these effects as well. So I want to boost it even more. I've got the Kinky boost and the Timmy. The Timmy seems to sound better with this, but I'll show you both. Here's just the normal jump channel with the Kinky boost. So it almost sounds like a broken speaker, almost like a fuzz sound actually. And then with the Timmy. I'd even be tempted to have that, have the Timmy switched on when I go to the jump channel. So if I press that, nothing happens. I can either go into the bright channel if I want to. I don't know why I'd want to do that, but then I can if I want. But I'm going to go back into normal, to the clean. And default's going back into the clean version. If I want to go from the normal jump to the normal pushed, I have to go into the clean first and then into the pushed. Right, let's go into the bright channel. So for the bright channel, I'm using my Epiphone 339. This actually doesn't sound too bad through the normal channel, but I thought with the fact that this is gainier than the other one, I'll just do the bright channel and also kind of almost make it like a slightly hotter, for slightly hotter guitars as well. So some of the gains are different as well. But essentially the philosophy is the same as this one here. So if I'm using if I'm on a gig and I've been using my Telecaster all night and now I'm going to go to my Epiphone, to my 339, I will switch over to this one and do everything exactly the same thing, but this time with different amp settings. So you might have noticed the switch over there. That's the normal amp. That is the bright amp, and this one here will be the jump, which you'll notice it says there bright jump now. And if I go to that, that's all it will go to. There's no normal jump there. Let's go back to the clean. Let's check some of these sounds out here. So here's the clean version of the bright channel. So you might notice that my clean on both this one and the normal one is not completely clean. It's an old school amp. It kind of is supposed to break up. I know that Leo Fender originally designed them to be clean, but they kind of have a reputation for kind of having that kind of break-up sound. I wanted to go for clean, but just kind of slightly edge of break-up-y type clean, which is kind of what I like. I generally don't like pristine cleans, and a lot of people don't. A lot of guitarists don't as well. So I like it when it is clean, but just with a little bit of hair on it. I guess, I don't know, the equivalent is having stubble on your face as opposed to clean-shaven or a full-grown beard. Is that a good analogy? I don't know. You tell me in the comments below, because that's what the comments section is for. So, slightly crunchy. But like kind of not a nice crunch, but still essentially clean. Here is the pushed sound. Okay, let's try some effects. So we'll stay on the clean. Let's go to the clean sound. Here's my clean. Here's a bit of Kinky boost. Bit of Timmy. Let's go clean first. Sorry for the key change there, I didn't mean to do that, but I'm just kind of all improvising all of this. Here's the two of them together. So all these effects are all the same as the normal channel. Let us try out the tremolo. It's quite a slow tremolo as well. I think this is tap tempoable. No, it's not. I've just kept it. I've just set it to 1.6. You can change the speed and any of these settings if you want as well. Let's add some spring reverb. And let's jump to the pushed. Same thing. Kinky boost. Timmy. Oh, so chewy, I like it. Kinky boost and Timmy. Yeah. Let's add some spring reverb. Definitely a lot more reverb there. I think because the reverb's at the end, and with the gain and all the other boosts on, it's pushing more into the reverb and kind of giving it a bit more. You can change that if you want to. I quite like it myself, to be honest. And let's check out this the bright jump. There's more gain on that one. It's a bit more noticeable than on the other one with the Telecaster. Let's keep going. And let's add some Kinky boost next. Yeah, and like earlier on, when you add the Kinky boost, it's got that kind of, it sounds like the speaker's breaking, a bit like a fuzz sound. So let's try some Teemah action as well. Oh, let's press the button properly. Oh, I like that. I like the Teemah with that one. That's really nice. The two together. That's not too bad. With even with the Kinky boost in, it doesn't sound too fuzzy. Bit of spring reverb. Yeah, I like that. So you might think, oh, that's a lot of reverb there. Maybe on its own. What I've noticed though is that when you play it live and use it live, especially with a band, and especially if you're not on in-ears, that extra reverb kind of sounds a bit more prominent. It kind of tends to get hidden when you've got other things going on around you. So where it might sound a little bit too much here, when you use it in a band context, it might actually sound all right. So ironically, the setup for this is a bit more complicated than my usual setup, and is a bit of it takes a bit of getting your head round to get some of the stacking stuff sorted out. And the ironic thing being that it's a 1950s Tweed amp, which probably at the time I don't think you had any pedals back then. It was just all straight into the amp. And even if you do, like, later on, if you did add pedals, you probably keep it quite simple. So the simplicity of reality is contrasted with the kind of momentary complexity of kind of setting this up. It's not too bad once you use it. I guess you got to get used to kind of the stacks here. But I mean, once you're in, say if I'm using my Epiphone or similar guitar, I'd probably stay in bright, clean for most of it. Maybe sometimes go to the push if I want a bit more, and then just use the pedals here as necessary. That's the easy bit. And it's kind of easy to use in that sense. You're either going to be in the clean or the pushed, and maybe you'll go to the jump to the solo bit. But you've got the option to do it. Otherwise, stay in clean or pushed. Pick one, and then use the effects as necessary. Maybe add your own effects, swap them out. Which is what I had to do actually. I did have a delay in here as well, but I decided to get rid of the delay so I could put the jump channel there. So I didn't need to have that there, but I kind of wanted to have more amp options as opposed to effects options. So that it's more of a complete amp. But that's the one of the wonders of the Helix. You can do things like that, and this is just like your starting template. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for you. Back to the studio. Well, there you go. There is my preset on the Fender Tweed, the 5CE, Fender Tweed from the 1950s, from 1953, I believe it was from. I'm tempted to do a video on doing this with a power cab as well, and trying to see if I can, because a lot of the time, this kind of sound, I imagine it being used on jam nights and more kind of bluesy gigs and blues jam nights. So I'm tempted to try it through the power cab to see how it sounds through that, and if I can get enough volume out of it and get that sound. I believe the speaker in this amp originally was a Jensen something or another, Jensen Alnico P12. Those are all kind of terms that are coming to mind when I try and remember some of the research I did on this amp. And there is a Jensen speaker simulation on the power cab, which is meant to simulate the sound of the speaker as opposed to what we normally think of as an IR, where you've got a microphone in front of it. This is meant to sound like the speaker itself. So the speaker in the power cab is meant to sound like a speaker in whatever you set it to. So in this case, a Jensen, whatever the Jensen is on the power cab. So that would be interesting for me to try out. I'm tempted to do that. Would you be interested in that? Let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in that. Speaking of comments, let's check out some comments. I haven't done comments for a couple of weeks now, so let's go through some. I might even do some from other videos rather than just the previous ones. So the user simply named as DG, who's commented on my snapshot stacking video for the HX Stomp, how to get more from 3-foot switches stacking snapshots. I said, nice budget pedal. When you're ready to get serious, grab an FM9 if you can find one. Way better. I don't doubt that it's way better. I know that the Axe effects, the sounds are meant to be, they're considered to be the best of all the modelers. Obviously, there's an element of subjectivity to it, but I definitely don't doubt that it's a good sounding unit. I'd love to get my hands on one. I believe you have to order directly from Axe Effects though, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'd like to try one first, and maybe I'll be swayed and I'll go and get one at some point. But yeah, so anyone out there who's wondering what's better, I think it depends. I have a feeling that the HX Stomp is slightly easier to use. I say that, I've never used an Axe Effect, so I don't know, I can't really compare. I know that the HX Stomp is pretty straightforward to use, pretty easy to use. So yeah, check out the Axe Effect stuff as well, because it's good stuff. And I've got a bunch of people commenting here just saying thank you. So to all those people who said thank you, you are welcome. That's the whole point of the channel. So I'm glad that you guys are enjoying what I'm doing for you, what I'm creating, the content I'm creating. Sorry, I've lost my words there. So thank you back for commenting, and I'm glad that you've been enjoying the content. Oscar PB, who's commented on my Behringer vintage tube overdrive video, really great budget pedal, which is based on the Tube Screamer. Don't know why I forgot that. Just basically said thanks a lot for a good vibe and the way of addressing your viewers. Wonderful demo also, musically speaking. Peace. Well, peace back at you, Oscar. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for the kind words. It's really nice hearing those. I guess I've had a couple of negative ones at some point as well, but nothing too bad. So I guess I'm kind of lucky. Hopefully that means I'm doing something good overall. But thank you, Oscar, for the kind words. Let's do one more. I'm going to butcher this name. Fresh Avocado, who's... I just realised what it Fresh Avocado. Okay, then. Has commented on my using a Helix with the rear lamp video. And he says, I'm a beginner, sort of. This saved my sanity. I'll buy you a coffee. So, well, thank you for that. I'm going to call you Frey or Fresh, whatever you want me to call you. Thanks for that. I'm glad that's been helpful to you. And thank you for buying me a coffee. I don't remember seeing that, but I'm sure that's probably on there somewhere. Unless you're going to buy me real coffee, in which case I'll take that as well. Yeah, everyone seems to be very, very kind and gracious with their words. So, yes, thank you guys. Keep the comments coming. Speaking of buying me a coffee, which Fresh Avocado was just mentioning, you can buy me a virtual coffee. It's not a real coffee, but it's a tip to me. If you like this preset or any other presets, or if you just generally like what I'm doing on the channel, you can buy me a coffee. Link in the description below, as well as the download link for this preset. So if you're still here, you are a trooper, and thank you for sticking around. Really appreciate you still being here at the end. I have a sense this is going to be kind of a long video. In which case, yes, once again, thank you for sticking around and giving me your time. I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week in the next video. Take care.